Thank you for joining us here today. I want to begin with gratitude. Gratitude to the Roxbury community, to all of our elected officials, to our service providers. There's been a lot of conversation, a lot of hard conversation, and a lot of collaboration. And so I am grateful to all of our partners in this and all with whom we've been in conversation, especially over the last week. We're here today because we really don't have a choice. As you know, families continue to come into this country, continue to come into Massachusetts. And we have, over the last several months, opened up locations throughout the state, including large overflow sites around the state. We're also in about 90 communities utilizing our emergency assistance shelter program. We have right now about 7,500 families in Massachusetts housed through that program. I announced a couple months ago that we had really reached capacity in terms of space, and so we've also been managing a wait list. We do that by working to get people work and to help find them secure housing outside of the shelter system, and that is a work in progress. But in the meantime, we're here because we need to make sure we have a place for people to go safely. And I can tell you that, last night I was over at Logan Airport and I saw the number of families who were there, many of whom had been back for a second, third, or fourth, or fifth, or week-long stay at Logan Airport on the tile floor with 2, 3, 4-year-olds, infants with them, and all they're left to do is lay on a blanket that they lay out for the evening and then take in the morning. And we need to, under the law and I think under our obligation, make sure that we are making use of all spaces that we can here around the state. So that's how we get to this point. And let me be clear, I continue to call on Congress to act. President Biden has put forward a plan that would both address the border issues, make changes to the asylum process, and, importantly, provide funding to states like Massachusetts who are having to bear, like New Jersey, like New York, like Illinois, responsibility and cost. So I continue to demand action, particularly by the House, on what is a sensible path forward. But in the meantime, we cannot wait. We've worked very hard to get work authorizations for nearly 3,000 individuals who've come to Massachusetts, and we have a program designed to plug them in with employers who need the workforce. But today, here in Roxbury, we have come. We have come because we need to find a place. And again, I am grateful to the City of Boston and Mayor Wu for your accessibility, for your partnership, for what you have been doing in addition to supporting this, but supporting sites around, the city. And I just, that will continue. I'm grateful to Senator Miranda, to Representative Tyler, to Councilor Fernandez for your conversation and collaboration. I think Roxbury is really fortunate to have the electeds that they have and the people who represent and speak and advocate for them and work in community and in conversation with them, and know that our administration has been guided and will continue to be guided by that. We made clear at the outset, too, as we come to this site, first of all, it is temporary. We will be out before June. It is important to have this site available to the community for activities come June. Second, we have committed that DCR will expend additional resources on important upgrades to infrastructure for this building, something that the community deserves, and we are going to make happen. Third, as we do this work, we are going to do so utilizing local vendors and service providers, food, laundry, transportation, case management. It's very, very important for the success of this that we do that. And I appreciate all of those who have participated so far in that. And finally, we will continue to work and advocate on the federal level. But I want to say, and very clear, I am grateful to the community of Roxbury. I am grateful to all who came together in this work. We have clergy represented. We have Dr. Gabot and IFSI represented. We have so many people who are working so hard around this state, and I have seen the very best of people in this moment. There is opportunity for the very best of people in the days and the weeks ahead. And I know if we can stay in conversation and work together, we are going to show how this can be done well. Thank you. I now want to give you Counselor Tanya Anderson Fernandez, who has been such a champion and a real partner in all of this. Thank you, Counselor.
I'll try to be brief. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanya Fernandez Anderson. I'll try to be brief. I do have a council meeting today. I'd like to start with bonsoir, mon peuple haïtien. Bienvenue à Roxbury. And second, I'd like to thank the people of Roxbury, our constituents, who relentlessly advocate for our community, our neighborhood here, who have for decades been advocating on disenfranchisement in Roxbury. And the conversation, of course, came up, why Roxbury? Is it already burdened? Is it already condensely populated with people, vulnerable populations? And the folks also opened up their hearts and said, we want to help our people. We want to help the Haitian and our migrant populations, all of the migrant populations at the airport. But how do we do that when we are already have existing situations that compromise our economy or that compromise our lifestyle? And so the conversation is difficult. And in that process, I met with our governor, Maura Healey. I met with our mayor, Michelle Wu. I met with our state partners, Representative China Taylor, who was the first person to call on me, and also our Senator Liz Miranda. And in that workshopping ideas and talking about community stakeholders, how we do this equitably, how we represent Roxbury properly, how do we contract vendors so that we are fair, that they are local, how do we hire case managers that speak Haitian Creole, how are we culturally and linguistically appropriate. And all of that today, when I walked into the gym area, and you look at the cots and you look at the sleeping beds or the bags and you look at the playpens and you know that this is a difficult situation. So I applaud our governor for taking such a courageous step, for opening her heart and to doing this and not doing it until it may not be perfect today, but a wonderful start to get people to safety first. I encourage, of course, this idea, this centralized way of emergency shelter. I worked 23 years in behavioral health and public health and really understand that service is important. And the level of wraparound that we provide for these families are going to be extremely important. So I'm committed to following up with my constituents to ensure that not only is this process transparent, but that we are coming back to the table to converse about progress and look at how we are actually executing these services. So I want to say transparently today, we're human beings, and us, the elected officials, are people. We go through difficult conversations, and we don't always agree at first. And media, thank you for your transparency. And media comes in, and we have to then make it public. And in those conversations, sometimes it appears who's not getting along or who's doing this and who is doing that. Today, I am absolutely encouraged and proud to say that these elected officials that stand behind me came together and worked as a team. We're not perfect, and it may not be agreeable at first. But here today, you see teammanship, you see people coming together and creating a wonderful situation, hopefully to become a wonderful situation, a stable situation, a more permanent situation to permanent housing. I thank you for your time. I think the Friends of Melnea Cast, Recreational Friends of the Cast, as they say. I thank all of the clergies here today who are have participated, have been stakeholders, IFI and AFAB, all of the community stakeholders who have supported in ideas, our constituents who have emailed us about where are our programs going, where are our youth going, and for Mayor Wu to step up and say, yes, this is how government works. The governor's doing a very difficult thing, and trust me, I'm quite sure the governor knew that Roxbury was going to give her smoke. I'm quite sure that this is what it was, and she said, this is difficult, and it must be done, and that is leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor. I know you need to get to the City Council meeting. Senator Liz Miranda.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This was such an important thing for me that I wrote prepared remarks. I couldn't come off the dome like my sister in service, Tanya, but just wanted to say, I want to start off by thanking the DCR staff of the Melnea Cast, the Friends of Cast, the participants and coaches of all the dozens of programs that are held here, our young people, our faith and community leaders, as well as the people of Roxbury, who've immediately jumped into action to be a good partner to this administration and to all the providers here today. I'd also like to thank my elected colleagues who've been working on this for the better part of a week for your collaboration, and the governor and the lieutenant governor. I'll start by saying that Roxbury has always been a beautiful home to me and many of the people behind us today. It's a beautiful, diverse tapestry of people, a resilient community, and a community where so many have come here to start a new life. We are a people who help people in their worst moments, and we have always been that. Now I wholeheartedly understand that our community has been asked to sacrifice a great deal. We have our own unique challenges that the councilor spoke about, that we've been fighting the city, the state, and the federal government to remedy, not just today, not just yesterday, but for decades. And we are in a state of emergency, and none of us should stand by while women, children, and families sleep outside or in an airport who look like us. With that said, I want this community to know that all impacted programming here at the CAS will be relocated. The administration has committed to the procurement of all local, diverse vendors to keep this facility running. We know it best. They have committed to the safety net shelter closing by May 31st so that this pool and this center will look brand new by June 20th. And they've committed to the necessary upgrades to this facility that we've been asking for as a former member of Friends of the Cast for decades plus. We can center humanity and the dignity of both our community here and the members in need and those in crisis, coming from political turmoil and violence that they had no choice but to run from. Over the next few weeks, we need to adequately fund the shelter system, as well as invest in the programs that support these families exiting the shelter system. This is day one to forever, to ensure that these temporary facilities are just that they're temporary. We need the federal government, you hear me, Biden, to act and respond to this growing crisis. And I applaud Governor Healy for the work she did organizing 8 other Democratic governors to urge for the investment and attention to this issue. In closing, I want to say, as a center of this community, it is my responsibility to represent people who have lived here their whole lives like me, like Rep. Tyler, like Councilor Anderson, or people that moved in last week, or people who will move in today. I truly believe that this community, the providers, the small businesses, our civic leaders, our faith leaders, our community leaders, and the administration can come together to make this smooth transition for this community and a safe place for those in crisis who seek shelter and safety. And lastly, Roxbury is doing their part. I would ask all my elected officials who represent the other 350 cities and towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to step up and do their part. This is our shared humanity, and these are our people and our shared opportunity. So I want to thank you.
Good morning, everyone, or now afternoon. I am truly honored to be here, and I want to start by thanking you all for showing up to engage with us on this very important issue topic. I'm truly humbled by the sensitivity of what this means to the Roxbury district, and so I wanted to start with making that comment first and foremost because this has been very difficult for us as a district. However, I stand before you today not only as a state representative of the 7th Suffolk District, which is the home of the cast, alongside my colleagues here, however, as a mother to 2 amazing daughters. And it broke my heart when I watched the news recently and witnessed a pregnant woman and her 2 children sleeping on the floor at Logan Airport. So I want to begin by thanking Governor Haley and Lieutenant Governor for being bold enough to make this move. And I'm honored to be here along with everyone here to help them roll up our sleeves and do something about that issue during this time. Now, it may not be ideal because of where we're at as a district, but this is where we want to be as leaders when it comes to exercising what humanity actually means. And so we're proud to be able to do this. This is a predominantly African American community. And because, again, this district is where it is right now, and we're blocks away from Nubian Square, which is the 2nd biggest economic hub after downtown Boston, this is the reason why folks are disappointed today and maybe a little bit disgruntled. But again, having small businesses and local vendors be a part of this changes the narrative on making sure that folks like Fort Hill Bar and Grill and many other local vendors be a part of that. We're changing the narrative on making sure we stimulate the economic community here in Roxbury. So this is an all hands on deck situation. I'm very, very honored to be here. And I just want to, again, commend everybody for being here today. And I just truly am grateful to be a part of this situation. So thank you again.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much to the Roxbury delegation for sharing what's on the minds and hearts of so many of our community members and for standing up. Thank you to the governor and lieutenant governor and their entire administration for their leadership in an impossible situation. I hear from mayors all around the country on a regular basis, just had 2 conversations in the last couple of days around the stresses and the challenges that this crisis of migrant families needing services and shelter and homes are presenting at every level of government, and especially at the state and local levels. The difference, though, that we see here today is that in many of those other cities, when the going gets tough, when the conversations get really hard, people are looking around to see who will step up. And in this case, you see not only those who are immediately confronted with this in their jurisdiction stepping up, the governor and lieutenant governor administration taking this on statewide, but the local elected officials stepping up, our community members and leaders in the neighborhood, our clergy and faith leaders, and everyone here really reflecting what our beloved community is, and in those difficult times coming together to stand together and say we are going to figure out a way to not only solve the challenges and the needs that are immediately at hand, but in some ways treat this as an opportunity to be able to expand the impact and set a new model for how the rest of the country could think about this as well. Yesterday, I had the chance to be in D.C. for a couple different convenings and spoke with the team over at the Department of Homeland Security. But like the governor, on the way flying out, I stopped in at Terminal E to understand and share in some of the experiences of the families who are there. Their families are the same. Their stories are the same as ours. People who just want to try to give their kids a chance and a better life. And we are a little bit stuck in a system where the federal machinery needs a lot of fixing. It needs resources, it needs process improvements, it needs action, and it has needed that for decades. And I continue to hope, alongside everyone here, that we will see action at that level that can provide those resources and provide the direction and guidance that will end up being taken care of by states and cities otherwise. We know that Boston has always been a place, Roxbury has always been a place that steps up. And we are proud that in the midst of this national crisis, in the midst of this statewide crisis, the city of Boston continues to set the standard for what it means to deliver resources and do our part. We already are home to more of the emergency assistance units than any other community in the state. This year, this school year, we have proudly and happily absorbed 1,600 new students, many of whom are newly arrived in migrant with their migrant families and are adjusting to this city, this country, with the supports and infrastructure that our incredible Boston Public School educators are delivering. We are continuing to feel the strain in the shelter system for individual adults that the city runs. We have our census, our point-in-time census to assess unhoused individuals and the need for shelter by going out at midnight tonight as part of every city's count of who is sleeping on the street and is in need of services. And we know that those numbers are growing and that our shelter capacity is stretched to the point that at the local level, we are also opening overflow capacity in order to accommodate everyone. 25% of our beds now in our local shelters used to address supports needed for the migrant crisis as well. And so when it comes to taking care of those families who are just trying to make a way and who are currently sleeping out in the airport or trying to find shelter or moving around in all different spaces, I am very grateful to Governor Healy for her leadership. I'm grateful to this community, and I'm grateful to everyone who has come together. We at the city level have already been making as many preparations as we could because we know this will be all hands on deck for the city of Boston over these next 3.5 months as well. I want to thank members of our team who have essentially dropped everything to make sure we could be as prepared and ready to partner and be the very best partner that we can be. Our Deputy Chief of Staff, Yusuf Vali, has been quarterbacking a lot of this along with Ajay Singh. We have leaders from who have been addressing all different pieces to support and partner with the state. Our Chief of Human Services, Jose Masso, and BCYF Commissioner Marta Rivera have been nonstop working with Commissioner Arrigo and the state to help identify locations and work with the community to find homes for the programs that we know must continue that used to operate here at the CAS and to find space for the community members who might not have been part of the track club or a formalized program, but still need and deserve that space to be indoors when the weather is cold. And that work will continue until every single program and space is replaced. I want to thank those who have been thinking on the basic city services side. Mike Brohl and the team thinking about what this will mean for foot traffic and site cleanliness. Chief Sheila Dillon on the housing side, how we can plug in with supports on trying to expand and make sure that there's somewhere to go after residents are stabilized here. Superintendent Mary Skipper was here for our walkthrough earlier as well, because we know that with the young people here for now more than just a couple days at a time, we are planning to enroll them in the Boston Public Schools and make sure their education is as uninterrupted as possible. And we have our whole public safety cohort as well of our first responders who have been in and out of this site and working to establish plans. Commissioner Michael Cox, Commissioner Paul Burke of the Fire Department, Chief of EMS, Chief Jim Hooley, and Dr. Pasola Ojakutu of the Boston Public Health Commission and their teams. They have done a full walkthrough and worked with the state to identify the places where more fire alarms or the life safety systems needed to be tested and expanded. They have checked every inch of this building from a life safety perspective and are prepared to ensure the safety of not just our residents who are here in the area, and we're going to minimize any kind of impact with traffic and this and that and access to public spaces, but most importantly, public safety for the families we will be welcoming here and to ensure that their experience here represents what we know Boston means as a home for everyone and as a place where everyone belongs. So we will continue to be in close coordination with the state and with our entire delegation on all of those pieces that the city is uniquely managing and looking to support. And we most of all just want to say to the residents of Roxbury and all of the community members, we are here as a resource. This entire team is here to make sure that anything that you need in this period, throughout this period, after this center is returned to full community use, we are here on the ground, and any issue that you identify, please reach out. We will be partnering very closely to make sure it gets addressed. We have also heard tremendous desire from the community to help, and I want to thank our leaders from the faith community who have been in many conversations already on ways that our churches and faith institutions have been taking up many pieces of finding additional shelter spaces or providing programming or making sure that there will be services available for the families who are here as well. This is a village effort, and thank you to everyone who is part of that village. Someone I forgot to shout out who is maybe the most important linchpin for us here on the ground, our Roxbury neighborhood liaison, Asha Janae. Thank you for all that you have been doing as our point person here, and to your entire ONS team, Beata, our ONS director, and everyone. This will be the city's partnership for the next several months as well. So I'm very grateful to everyone here and eager to make sure that, again, we set a model for the rest of the country.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Gabo with the Immigrant Family Services Institute, and I have to say that I'm very emotional at this time as I was standing here and listening to all the elected officials, the governor, the mayor, everyone talking about our community, and we all knew that we received a lot of phone calls when we saw the families at the airport. We knew that that's not the right place for them. And when children are asking, Mommy, where are we going tonight? Where are we going to sleep? It's a human crisis. And when all of us come together and to really support those families and to do the right thing, I mean, it means so much to those families. And today I am so grateful to the governor, to the mayor for really showing what it means to have courageous, compassionate, brave leadership. Because so often we are so afraid about the issues. We don't even want to attack. We don't want to try. But when we want to say, this is an opportunity for us to be better, this is an opportunity for us to be stronger. And knowing, the history of Haiti and the work that we have done as a village, always welcoming people, always, being there to share a meal. When we know that, we are very confident that the community here at Roxbury will do the right thing, welcoming the families with grace, with compassion. Because at the end of the day, I always say life is not about us. Life is about, the impact that we have made on those who were among us, the most vulnerable one. We were able to take some time to sit down and talk to them and say, let's read together. Let's, eat together. This is about making an impact. Because when we go home, it's not about what car did we drive or what house did we. It's about what did we do? What impact did we have? And today, Governor Haley and Mayor Wu, I am so grateful, all of you, for you to take this risk. We know it's not easy. And I always say to my team, not easy doesn't mean impossible. All right? Because it's not easy, because it doesn't mean it's impossible. We can do it. And we can show the whole world that we can lead with grace. We can lead with compassion. So my entire team, my entire community is behind this movement. So whatever we need to do to support, to guide, we will do it. So again, let's put our hands together. Let's open up our hearts to those families. It's not either or. We can do both. We can do both, right? We can serve our community while welcoming others. And that's the right thing to do. So today I applaud you guys, all of the leaders, for doing the right thing. And again, we are going to be there to support and to guide. And I'm inviting all my church leaders. I'm inviting all of the community-based organizations, all individuals who are in this area to step up and come and say, what can I do? Because that's the question, how can I help? And when you do that, you will see the joy of being available, being able to serve, and being able to make a difference. Again, thank you so much for all you do, because those families who are here, they are my brothers. They are my sisters. I hold them very dear to my heart, because I know that they are here not because they chose to, but because they were forced to leave. So let's welcome them. Let's welcome them, and let's make a difference. Thank you so much.
Good morning. And I want to piggyback on what the Reverend just said. We thank the governor, lieutenant governor, the mayor, the elected officials, the clergy. But she mentioned welcoming the community. And my grandfather built Pleasant Hill back in the 30s down the street. It's no coincidence that this is taking place on Martin Luther King Boulevard. I think the significance of it happening here is because it's at the Cass Center. It's no insignificant. The Cass Center, Melnea Cass, one whose life was, if you can't do anything great, do something small, but do it great. And so as we stand here on Martin Luther King Boulevard, Martin Luther King raised a question, the most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others today? And so we can answer that question. And I never thought I would hear a mayor talk about the beloved community. But the beloved community can answer that question. We are feeding those that are hungry, and we will house those that have no roof over their head. And so as the pastor of the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, one who grew up running around this center and in this pool and in the rink and in the Shelbourne Center, we welcome these, our brothers and our sisters. It's not as though they're, in the term migrant, they are our brothers and they are our sisters. And so we welcome them. And the faith community will do all we can to make sure that as Martin Luther King fought for the improvement of the quality of life, that their life and the quality of life is improved. And he said it's always timely to do what is right. And I believe that this beloved community is doing what is right today, and that we will stand up and do all we can as the beloved community to welcome our brothers and sisters to Roxbury in the state of Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend. I know we have folks who need to get back to the State House, too, for state business. So we'll be happy to take questions. I want to acknowledge Friends of the Cass, Senator Diane Wilkerson, who is here as well, all who have joined and come forward today. Thank you for, again, your partnership in all of this. And huge thanks to Mayor Wu and her team. You heard outlined the resources and the work that they are doing, in addition to the work of our team on the state, from DCR to HHS to others across our incident command. So many thanks for that. Particular thanks to Senator Liz Miranda, Representative Tyler, and Councilor Anderson, who represent their communities and communities so well. And have found a way to help us move forward. So truly grateful. With that, we're happy to take questions.
When specifically are folks going to be moving in here?
A little later today. We expect to begin with 75 folks today, more to follow in the days ahead. But that will begin today.
Boston United's being displaced. What are you going to do for them? They've had a hard time getting practice time at another state-run facility, the Reggie Lewis Center. Suburban kids have taken precedence over there. What are you going to do for Boston United?
So let me just talk about that for a minute. Something that has been a top priority for us in this work is to make sure that every program finds a new home on a temporary basis. There are a number of programs that run here, from tennis to futsal to pickleball to, yes, the track. And also in other things. We've got a number of seniors, too, who walk. Know that we have a list of every single program and how it is used in this building. And we have been working hard with the city, with others, over the last several days to relocate programming. We've been successful with some. We have a few more that we are working on. With respect to Boston United, we are looking at sites in the vicinity. We have a meeting later today and hope to be able to report favorably on that, but certainly making sure that the 100 to 200 kids who are part of the Boston United program, I know how important it is to our young people to have that kind of programming, to have that opportunity. And frankly, what I've seen and been heartened by is more people opening up their doors. So yes, we got the Reggie, and as you know, you alluded to, the Reggie's booked with a lot of activities for some time through March. But I'm confident, and I promise we will make sure that Boston United and all of the teams are taken care of, so that there isn't that displacement. It is a temporary displacement, but I'm actually hopeful that good things can come of it. In addition to expanding, as the state is going to do, the resources coming to the CAS.
And how much money are you dedicating for renovations here? What kind of, is that sort of a thank you to this community? And what kind of renovations?
Well, the good thing, Beth, is, as you know, I appointed a new commissioner, DCR, with this new administration, and Commissioner Brian Arrigo. He already had worked in the budget and in capital planning to make sure that we were doing what Senator Miranda said had needed to be done here for a long, long time. So that is our commitment. Actual numbers, I don't know the actual numbers as I stand before you, but we will do whatever it is and what it takes to bring the kinds of resources that and the upgrades that this building deserves. In terms of why this location, we have been at it now for a year since we took office on this issue. As I say, we've identified sites in over 90 communities around the state. We have identified some large sites. As you know, we started Joint Base Cape Cod, Quincy Eastern Nazarene, Salem State College, Salem State University. We took over the Registry of Deeds in Cambridge. We've taken over hotels in Taunton and Revere and elsewhere, housing a number of individuals and families. But the need has continued even while we try to exit people from the shelter system. And so we had to look at what we had available here in Greater Boston, and what we had available for potential assets to use. And we identified this one because we were able to identify it and also operationalize it. As you know, and I spoke to this, the mayor spoke to her experience, and others have as well. You've been over to Logan, you've seen the situation over there, and we needed to take action to make sure that people were housed.
Another overflow site, and if so, where?
I think we're evaluating all of that, honestly, Lisa. We're continuing to work on this as we exit people, as we get the work permits through, as we ask the legislature for funding for our housing bill. I mean, part of the issue here, and I understand the concern of so many who are already not able, who've been here, who grew up here, who live here, including in Roxbury, who haven't been able to find affordable housing. That's why we need, to pass a bill that will allow us to build more housing across the state. But we're going to continue to work on the problem and continue to evaluate new sites around the state.
Are the states we're going to help with anything, Mayor?
Just a moment.
Is it expected to just have migrants here, or will you have other people who are experiencing homelessness? And we always hear kind of the term thrown around, illegal immigrants. Can you kind of explain the process for them to be housed here?
We are going to be open to the community and families who are currently experiencing housing insecurity and homelessness. Certainly the focus has been on migrant families who are coming and going from welcoming centers around the state, including in Alston and Quincy. It's important that people understand that migrant families are families who have entered this country lawfully.
Amen.
So unfortunately, we hear really denigrating language, people speaking about others in ways that are denigrating and also just factually wrong, okay? The fact of the matter is, folks have been led into this country lawfully and have found their way to Massachusetts and to other states, and we have certain legal obligations here that we're trying to meet. Yeah.
I've heard from
You go ahead. I'm not going to run away. I'll be here.
okay. I heard from a couple of teachers south of Boston that this whole migrant situation is causing classroom sizes to double, and that it's severely compromising the education of other kids. because teachers have to play catch up with the non-English speaking kids. Can you address that?
You know, one of the things that I've been really heartened by is the number of communities, including Boston, who have taken in new students and who are doing very well in school. The state has an obligation. We have provided funding through Chapter 70 to schools that are, of course, housing new students and students coming from migrant families. So we're going to continue to work, the state will, with our local school districts and support them in their efforts. And again, I just appreciate the work of so many school districts and educators. Superintendent Skipper's here today. Boston has certainly seen a number. And, look, that's what we do. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Is the superintendent still here? I assume she is. Okay, so I'll relay a little bit of what she and I were talking about earlier, which is that we, in some ways in Boston, are set up with the infrastructure already to be able to accommodate additional students, and we welcome the boost in enrollment and the talent and the brilliance that these young people and their families bring. It is the transition of how to make sure that students who are now coming in the middle of the school year quickly get settled, and then also understanding where the families will be placed after that. That has been a little bit tricky. So our plans are to boost some staffing. We're going to talk to the state and federal government about resources to help with this, but we will need to dedicate some staffing for intake of families who will be here on the weekends, at times that make sense, given the families are often pursuing other activities during the day, applying for jobs, filling out paperwork. So we are going to make sure the young people get enrolled right away, have supports, including any of the social emotional supports that are needed. We have multilingual staff in the Boston Public Schools already who are well versed and, as I said earlier, have already been acclimating many of our young people throughout the school year. The challenge becomes when they are then placed as a family further away from here or the city, they have a right to continue their education where they were originally enrolled, and then we need support in some of the transportation costs that come with that. And there are several situations now where we are transporting families from very far, significantly far away to come back to their Boston Public Schools placement because they were enrolled here and then have since been placed elsewhere. But this is all a matter of logistics, and we are eager to figure this out and partner with the state because it adds, I myself am the daughter of immigrants. So many of my top leadership team are children of immigrants, leaders all across who are standing here. We know what these young people not only are capable of, but what they represent for our future and the leadership that they are going to be bringing and pouring back into us.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Ninth day that school has been closed in Newton. At what point will the state step in?
Well, I mean, obviously we have been watching this closely, and I continue to just call for a resolution here. Our students need it, our parents need it. Educators need to be supported, and they also need to be back in the classroom. I know discussions are continuing, and I'll get an update, I know, when I return to the State House, but we need to see that happen. Well, the state is involved separately through the process outlined in law as mediator, but I hope we have an update and a positive one early afternoon or later today. Thank you again.
Mayor, about DC and your experience.
What's the capacity?
Yeah, in terms of individuals.
Oh, yeah, for this building, Steve? Okay, the capacity here at the CAS is 400. We expect to have 75 individuals people in today, with more to follow in the next couple of days. And we'll, continue to monitor the numbers here. Okay? Individuals. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And look, in the interest of everybody's time, we can take more questions, but I'll answer this one and then step away. Yes, and what we have seen is families do stay together. And when they come here, you will see they will group together and stay together for the duration. And certainly, with respect to any exits, we are looking. This is housing for families that come as a unit. Thank you again for your time today, and Jillian Fenimore is here. If anybody needs me on anything, see Jillian. But many thanks to all of our speakers, and many thanks to all who worked to make today happen. Thank you.